You know, we all have those series that we're just kind of not quite sure about. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today we've got a top 10 list of books I'm not sure I'm gonna like. Before we get into this, please do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow, and you can check the description box down below for links to all of my social media, including information about my Patreon and links to the Discord, and various other links for you to explore. With that out of the way, basically the thought process behind doing this video is, again, doing the Read Your Shelf Challenge. And what does that entail? Well, it entails taking a hard look at my shelves and basically being like, okay, I've had these series for forever. Why have I not prioritized them? What is wrong with me? Am I nervous? Is something going on? Well, the answer is yeah, maybe I'm just a little scared that I'm not going to like them. And that's kind of where this video idea is coming from. So let's jump right on into the list. Starting off this list, surprising nobody, we've got Hyperion here. Well, it actually might surprise you, because this is an anticipated read, but it's one I'm incredibly nervous about. Because, frankly, like, I got this when I think I hit 2,500 subscribers. And we're now at 5K, so it's been about a year that I've had this on the shelf. And I know a lot of people love Hyperion, and then I've also heard a lot of people have been like, this wasn't for me. I don't know where I'm going to fall on this one. I'm either going to love it, or I'm not. And I've already got all 4 books in the series, and I'm kind of nervous because it's been told it's like sci-fi Canterbury Tales. And I'm like, well, alright, that kind of sounds interesting. I read the Canterbury Tales in high school, and I mostly enjoyed those from what I remember of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been over a decade. I'll age myself a little bit. And so I really want to know what this is about. The reason I have this copy is I love the cover. I wish you could get the hardcover of this with this cover art for anything less than $2,000, but you just can't, which is a bunch of bullcrap. But hey, we've got Hyperion here starting off the list. Figured I'd kick it off strong. Another one that is currently, as of right now, unfinished, but is like slated to be finished, potentially? So we're going to have to see what happens here. We've got The Rune Lords by David Farland. And essentially with this one, is I had a copy of this one when I was in middle school, I think. I was younger, and I had a mass market paperback of this one, and then, like, I just never read it, and so I unhauled that copy, and then I heard about it again, and then I got another copy, and now I have all 7 in mass market paperback. The problem is, I don't read mass market paperback. I don't know why I didn't pick these up on hardcover, although I want to read the first book. I know Nico really loves this series, and, like, Nico and I agree about 70% of the time, so there's a good chance that I will like this series. However, it's just something I've been not prioritizing this series for decades at this point. And now that the author has since passed with the series unfinished, I think the final book was like 80% done when he passed. And I think, like, if you go on Audible, there's a placeholder schedule, like, you can pre-order the final book, which means I think they're intending to release it, because otherwise, why would you have it for pre-order? And if you're not intending to release it and you have it open for pre-order, shame on you. But we're just going to have to kind of see where we're at with that right now. I'm hoping to start this one this year, but, I mean, if I don't end up liking it, then there's 7 books off my TBR like that, which is both a good thing and a sad one. Next up, we've got Cold Magic by Kate Elliott. And the only reason I'm nervous about this one is I tried to do Crown of Stars by Kate Elliott. And that's a 7-book epic historical saga. Well, it's fantasy, but it's got more of a historical fiction vibe to it. And it was all really good, but like the villain made me incredibly uncomfortable, and I didn't like the way that made me felt as I was reading his character. And he made me feel super gross to the point where, like, I just put down the book and, like, ended up walking away. The first book is amazing. The second book didn't really work for me, and so I ended up walking away from the series. However, I did really enjoy the writing. I thought Kate Elliott was a masterful writer, and so I wanted to explore something else. And so that's where this trilogy comes from. This is the Spirit Walker trilogy, Cold Magic. I've got all 3 on the shelf, because you know me, I buy entire series irresponsibly before I've ever read them, because I'm smart. Smart! Yeah, we'll see what that means, but probably not. But I'm just kind of nervous to try more of her work. Next up, we've got T.L. Graylocks, The Blood Tint. I'm gonna struggle with this. It's The Blood Tainted Winter. It's a gorgeous cover. From what I understand, this is a Norse kind of fantasy. The only reason I own this, the only reason I know this, is that T.L. Greylock has done some co-authoring with Wraithmark Creative, which is kind of how she came on my radar. And then I was also browsing Silverstone's books one time, and I saw these covers, and I wanted to buy them. Again, you know I've already got the whole trilogy. This one doesn't call them books, it calls them Eddas. I don't know what that means, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, I like Norse-inspired, but I don't like Norse fantasy, and there's a little bit of a different kind of thing there. So, like, Tilt a Cold Hold, that's Norse fantasy. That's got Odin, that's got the Tree of Life, that's got everything in it. But if you go over to The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, that is Norse-inspired, and I really enjoyed that more than I enjoy Norse fantasy. It takes a lot of the elements and then does its own thing with them. But when it comes to, like, Norse fantasy, I'm nervous this is going to be Norse fantasy. So I've been kind of just putting it off. And maybe, like, all I have to do is read the back of the book. I haven't even read the back of the book. I just bought them off the cover alone and the fact that T.L. Greylock was a part of Wraithmark Creative. Not a good idea. It's not a good idea. That's not a good way to buy books. But hey, I mean, I've got some amazing art, at least. Then we've got this one here. And I meant to read this one during this winter. And I kind of chickened out a little bit because I got the audiobook from my library to kind of taste test it. And at that particular moment, I wasn't feeling that level of prose. Like, it's just, I've got to be in a particular mood for certain types of prose. It's just the way the brain works. Anyway, that was The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. And this is kind of like I believe it's a Russian-inspired winter fantasy. Yeah, Russian Wilderness, right there. And again, I was kind of struggling with the prose, but I didn't make it past the first chapter. And I didn't want to make a judgment call on what I had already read, mainly because I could tell it was a mood thing. So I am going to wait until The Bear and the Nightingale calls to me, because I want to give that a fair shot. I know a lot of my friends absolutely love that book. So I want to make sure I am giving it a fair shake. Then, of course, we've got Velocity Weapon. Velocity Weapon by Megan E. O'Keefe. And this is the Protectorate. And essentially, I kind of heard about this a little bit. There was a little bit of buzz here on BookTube a while ago. And then I stumbled across, I believe, books 2 and 3 or 1 and 3 or something like that at my local half-price books when I was, used book shopping. So I picked them up. And I haven't really looked at them since then. I have read the first page multiple times, and that is enough to let me know that, like, hey, I kind of like the flow of the story, the flow of the prose. I like the writing voice. But that's all I really know about it. I have recently DNF'd Steal the Sky by Megan E. O'Keefe, not because it was particularly bad. I just didn't really vibe with the humor that was going on in that story. So I'm kind of nervous about this series as well. But we will see. We will see. Next up, we have got Blood of an Exile by Brian Naslund. And the reason that this is on the list is, well, basically, the covers for the US covers are atrociously bad. And the UK covers are much better. Literally, the only reason I haven't reached for this one is I think the covers suck. I think these covers are atrociously bad. All three of them are just awful. Meanwhile, the UK covers are 10 times better. Easily. So, that's why I haven't reached for them. Like, these tattoos look terrible and tacky. I don't know how they apply to the story. I know the story is grimdark. Grimdark is a thing I have to be in the mood for. So that's kind of why I haven't reached for this one yet. I don't even know if this has a, like, series name. I'm sure it does. Let's see if we can't find it real quick. Nope, it just says Blood of an Exile. Blood of an Exile. Doesn't even give the series name. I know it has a series name. But again, just terrible packaging on the cover and branding. So I think the UK covers are just much better. So Brian, you should advocate to get those corrected. if you ever see this video. Then we've got one that, like, I bought this because I bought another series by this author because it sounded cool. The problem is I haven't read anything by this author, and I know there's a strong chance I won't like it, mainly because of the way the cover looks. And essentially each cover has this girl in this kind of flowing dress, and it's like, okay, like it's all birds and flowing dresses. One's black, one's white, and one's red. The only reason I know that is I can see it right over there. The dresses are kind of throwing me off. This is Melissa Caruso's Swords and Fire, which I believe is a prequel trilogy to Rook and Ruin, I believe is what that's called. Rooks and Ruin. Yes, that is... Oh, hey, there's a bookmark in here. I didn't know that there was a bookmark in this book. I got this used off of Pengo Books, so that's always a nice surprise. But again, this is another Orbit book. I don't know if it's for me. The vibe on the cover says probably not, but I still want to give it a shot because Rooks and Ruin sounded so cool that I wanted to pick up the prequel trilogy. And so I did. We'll see how that kind of works out for me. Next up, we've got C.S. Friedman's. And let's see if I can get the light to cooperate here. C.S. Friedman's Black Sun Rising. This is the Cold Fire trilogy. Mass market paperback. I love these Michael Whelan covers. But I've heard that the quality on the trade paperbacks is atrociously bad. And like they bend and crease like it's nobody's business. So I decided I would just go ahead and get an already spine-broken mass market paperback and try it that way. This is sci fantasy. This is kind of a 1980s blend of sci-fi and fantasy, the way they used to do it back in the day. And the reason that I bought these is because I had a buddy who was just like, oh, it's so cool, you need to check it out. And I was like, all right, I guess I can do that. I can look into it, see what all the fuss is about. But I mean, that was over a year ago at this point. I haven't even read a single word, and it's been on my shelf. The whole trilogy, again, because you know I buy series in completion. Every book that I mentioned, I have every book in the series, which is ridiculous. This is about 40 books that we're talking about here. 30 to 40 books. So I have all of these, and I have no idea what to expect from it, other than like a slightly darker tone, like a dark sci fantasy, maybe a little sideways jab. We'll see how I feel about it. And then this one, we've got Khan Iggulden. This is historical fiction, and I DNF'd the Genghis Khan trilogy, but this is about Julius Caesar. I've heard that these are amazing, but I also heard the same thing about the Julius Caesar, or about the Genghis Khan book. Sorry, this is the Julius Caesar. I heard the same thing about both series, and I didn't like the Genghis Khan ones. I liked the first book, and I felt like the second book was a major, major letdown, to the point where I couldn't even bring myself to try the third book to give the series a second shot. I just felt so let down by that second book that it just left a sour taste in my mouth. And now, like, I'm kind of nervous on Khan Iggulden as a whole, which seems a little, I don't know, unfair. The point is these are all ones that I intend to try eventually. I want to try them. I want to give them a fair shake. But there is just something in the back of my head that just says, hey, you might not like these. Now, you might be saying, well, why are you telling us that you might not like these? Here's what I want you guys to do. Because this is the year of the Read My Shelf Challenge. If you've made it this far, drop a comment down below on which 3 of these series you think I should give top priority to. I want to know which ones that you think I am going to like the most. And I'm fully expecting for, like, you know, Hyperion to get the old hurrah. But if it doesn't, that's fine. I want to hear from you. Let me know which 3 to kind of prioritize and why. And I will read all the comments. I always read all of your comments, and I always do my best to respond to all of your comments. Your vote matters here, and I always try and apply that as best as I can to my rating plans. But that is all I've really got for you today, guys. So, until next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my passion and my hobby.